Okay, very good.
All right, I think our legislators are probably still hung up in committee, but Michael Sweeney has some great information for us. So Michael, why don't you take it away with an update on student photo repositories, and we'll make sure that this link gets out to all of our legislators as we go.
Great, thank you, Sarah, and hello, Ronnie. We met last week. It's good to see you, and I think Diane, I don't think I've met you, but welcome. As Sarah said, and I feel like a lot of pressure here. It's a good presentation. I'm not going to go so far as to say great. I'm going to talk a little bit about Senate Bill 40 from the 2019 session, and that's more. It's more known as the what do we call it? The Missing Child Photo Repository. That was kind of the long name of that. So the 2019 legislature passed Senate Bill 40, which was sponsored by Senator Frank Smith, who's part of the caucus. And that requires the OPI to create and maintain an electronic directory photograph of all Montana public school students for the exclusive use of locating missing school-age children. And so how this works is parents and guardians must opt in to have their child's photograph in the repository. Photographs that we don't have an opt-in don't get into the repository. And then all photographs in the repository are automatically purged every 2 years. So, and also photographs can be removed from the repository upon request by a parent or guardian. The idea behind that is our expectation is everybody's going to put a photograph in there, a fresh one every year, but it was in the law that after 2 years, those photographs, nothing sits in there longer than 2 years, and that's kind of a fail-safe to make sure we don't have things in there that shouldn't be. And a final thing to note on that is $45,000 was appropriated to the OPI for the implementation of the repository. We began implementation in the fall of 2019. At that time, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Montana to give them, work out the details of who could have access to the repository and how it worked. Can you hold on? Sorry, I lost you there for a minute. Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Can you hear me? Okay, good. My camera went away for a second. So we worked out with DOJ the logistics, and then also in 2019 we worked with our statewide student information system vendor. That's where the photographs were actually going to exist in that system, to work out a contract with them to facilitate the photographs getting in there. We actually signed a contract with them and have support for this functionality through the 2022-2023 school year. So we're all paid up by then. I'm actually hopeful we're going to be able to negotiate with them down the road in our larger regular contract with them to not have that cost associated, but we may have to come back and need some help there. In March 2020, the repository went into production and schools began uploading photographs. And so and I think there's some of you might have documentation. I have fresh numbers from yesterday. As of yesterday, we have 25,333 photographs, or about 17% of the student population. That seems a little bit low. So what I want to say is, anecdotally, we're kind of hearing that COVID and the opt-in requirements are kind of the barriers to why that figure isn't higher. I don't think I need to explain why COVID may be a challenge to that, with schools being remote and things of that nature. It's just been a challenge. And then I should note too, there is work on the district side with it being an opt-in, where most of the activities and things that are kind of related to opting are usually opt out. Like your kids will typically opt out of the yearbook or opt out of the like school directory that the school might have. This is a kind of a new thing that schools have to adapt to. So I think that's been a bit of a challenge for our schools as well to get this implemented on their part. We're continuously marketing and communicating awareness of the repository to our schools to ensure that they're aware of their obligation, and it is an obligation to obtain parental opt-in consent and upload those photographs. This is not an optional thing for our schools to be doing. They're required to do it as well. At this point, we haven't heard from DOJ or seen in the press yet of any instances of any child being found or returned due to the repository. And I guess on one hand, that's a good thing, because that's a good thing, but it's probably just a matter of time before there's going to be a situation where having that photograph in the repository will have been what so really that is the latest news on the student photo repository. I want to thank again the sponsor, Senator Frank Smith. He was key to getting this through, and it's something we're really proud of and excited about to be able to do for the kids and work with law enforcement on getting these kids back, helping to find them. With that, oh, there's a question here in the chat. I don't know if that's for me. Can you? Okay. Anyways, any questions about the missing child photo repository or comments?
Hello, Representative Wendy Boy. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
You came in kind of in the middle. Did you get the information you needed from Michael Sweeney about the current status of the photo repository for missing children?
No, I didn't, but I did get about halfway through there. I don't have any questions at the moment.
Okay. Great.
Did you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't get all of it, and I didn't. The information there, it sounds like you're on it.
Yeah, I can just summarize real quick. The photo repository is up and running, and well, you obviously came in on this part. We've got about 17% of the student population in there, and we're hoping to get higher penetration, if you will, more photographs in there. So any questions about the repository or at all that I can answer?
I did hear you say something about DOJ not responding yet.
No, DOJ, what I said there was DOJ has not told us that that any kids that have been found or returned are because of the repository. So in other words, the repository so far we know hasn't returned any kids yet, as far as we know, but we think it's just a matter of time before having those photographs in there will be helpful.
And this is a new program, am I correct?
Yes, this is the first full school year that the repository has been available for schools to upload pictures to and for law enforcement to have access to.
Is this in coordination with the MMIW stuff that's been going on?
It is not. This was something that I believe started in.
Thank you.
Can we put this in the news?
Yes.
Um,
Wait, which one is that?
And so it kind of started independently
Or
of
that's just a draft.
that work.
Thanks.
Okay.
But certainly is related, and I can relay, I believe there's a legislative concept I've seen out there where if, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but I think what you're referring to is where there may be some resources at the tribal government level where this repository could be made available to those, I think it'd be missing person coordinators, I think if I'm understanding. We could certainly make the repository available should that be the desire and legislation put forth.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, good questions.
Ronnie, Joe, Diane, anyone have any questions about the content Michael put together on our legislative update for Senate Bill 40 and the student photo repository?
I just had one question. Are parents able to submit their own photo of their child? Or does it have to be through the contractor?
So how it works is at the school, however the school collects the photograph. So and that's typically through a the school photographer to do the yearbook and the school pictures. Those are typically the photographs that are provided to a school. There's absolutely nothing stopping a parent from providing a photograph of the child, but the opt-in and the means of the photograph getting to us starts at the school. We don't have, here at the OPI, we're not taking photographs directly from parents, if that's what you're asking here. We could, I suppose, if asked, but with the opt-in, it's typically the parent's going to work with the school their child's enrolled in.
So Michael, if a student missed school photo day or came late in the year and wanted their photo added, or their parent wanted their photo added, they could give a photo to the school and have them submit it through their mechanism to the OPI?
Yep, absolutely.
Great.
And that's a good point. That might be something we make a note of, because that question hasn't come up, but we do have, and I think it's at the bottom of your handout there, we actually have an information page for both parents and school folks. So that's a good point. I'll make a point to add that we can take a photo. The school should be able to take a photograph at any time. It's not a big deal.
Great. Ronnie, Joe, Diane, and our other guests, when this is over today, I'll send the video with the presentation from Michael, but I'll also send out the handout that was given to our legislators that encapsulates this information in writing and has the link at the bottom to where you can view the school photo repository page for parents and the information about it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Of course. All right, with that, are there any more questions for Michael, or this might be our shortest and sweetest tribal caucus yet?
Hey, I have something else, if I may, Sarah.
Absolutely, Representative, go ahead.
It's not on the agenda. I had a House Bill 219 that was on up for a hearing yesterday.
Mhm.
And the superintendent pulled in right after they closed the hearing. And what 219 is basically a computer coding for schools. It's a pilot program. It's a job.
Jonathan, you went on mute somehow.
Oh, there am I. Can you hear me
There
now?
you are.
Okay. What'd you miss? All of it?
No, I heard you say that your House Bill 219 was up in committee yesterday and the superintendent came in right as the hearing closed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she, anyways, we kind of had a little brief discussion about this thing, and I think that she might be interested in it. She did text me and ask me if this program is already in existence with the Department of Labor and Industry, and I'll give you a little bit of history about it. Is that Matt Kuntz with NAMI is the one who presented me the idea in the last session, and because of the time constraints and all of that stuff, it died in the process. And so I revived it, and we had a hearing yesterday. And what that is if you're not familiar with the bill HB 219, that it's to provide for a pilot program for computer coding for one student per reservation school. I have one school that's already ready to go, and that's in Box Elder, and it kind of sounded like that the superintendent was interested in it. It has a $300,000 price tag on it, on the fiscal note. And right after she expressed interest, after the committee, I had an email that I received from the governor's office, and he too is interested in it. And I'm going to be meeting with them on Tuesday at 11:30. And we're going to be discussing it. And the concept that he had on this program was to provide for a summer program at MSU. And I'm not sure how the details of it. And I'm thinking that he was they're interested in having college students that would apply for that, for a summer program. But to me, it don't matter who gets this. And with the House Bill 219, if OPI is going to pick it up, that, like I said, it don't matter to me who gets it, who funds it, or whatever. It's just if we get it off the ground, it'd be great. And my thought process after visiting with the superintendent is that the folks there within the OPI, whether it be Lana or Donnie, can kind of oversee this if the application process and all that stuff would be a perfect fit for them. And then if the governor's office, what I'm going to propose to them is that if they want to pursue this, then we can probably amend it, the bill, which I think the title is broad enough to put in what the governor's office wants on it. Might cost a little bit more, but this is a priority, and for me, this is a good project, and it would be a win-win situation for everybody. And whatever the topic is will be, as far as what the finished products are, would probably end up being the outcomes in the rulemaking process of what finished product that would be allowed. And like I said, this is a pilot program. And right now, what my concern is that the lines of questioning is that, the fiscal note, 300,000 sounds like a lot, but if we're to do this, we would have to be doing some creative fiscal note analysis and assumptions and all that good stuff. And so food for thought for you guys to get with the superintendent. And I did talk to Seth Bergley, who's the chairman of the education committee. I told him kind of basically in a nutshell what the discussions were. And he said that he'll hang on to it and not do any executive action. So if you can get with the superintendent and find out what's on her mind as far as an amendment. And then after my meeting on Tuesday, I'll find out more what the governor is thinking. And then we can just amend the heck out of that bill in committee and let them do discussions. And one of the things that I'm going to be requesting from the governor's office is that if they're going to do this, that he needs to kind of help with the messaging to let everybody know what there is, so we can get this moving through the process.
So Representative, this is Superintendent Arnson. Good afternoon. And yes, hey, so I was stuck in Senate Education yesterday afternoon. We had a bill, and of course it was the chairman's birthday. So Chair Solomon, not that he took his time, but it took me a while to get down to the committee. My intent was to support the questions that I had back with you. Was to see if indeed there was already a program started as you had seated it in Department of Labor. I'd love to crash the party at the governor's office on Tuesday at 11, if that's possible.
Sure, 11:30.
Okay, excellent. I think that would be very, very beneficial, as I had texted you back and forth in our conversation. that, you know, the governor is interested in anything moving our children forward more in technology. And I think the funding of this could be a mechanism where it could be seeded with some general fund dollars, but the public-private partnership and having companies help support this, I think would be very beneficial. And if it serves students in secondary, which is high school, I would be very interested. If it serves kids in the university system, it's a little bit outside of my bailiwick. But I would be more than happy to be there at 11:30 on Tuesday to help support you.
Yeah, and if you take a look, and if you recall in the last session, I'll see that when I did propose this, we just ran out of time and it died in the process.
Sure.
And in the bill, you can see that it is specified from 9th through 12th grade. And like I don't know if you heard what my testimony here is to the rest of the group here is that what the governor's policy advisor Opal is thinking, and it kind of sounds like in the email message that he was they're interested in providing for a summer jobs program at the MSU in Bozeman. And like I said, you know, that right now it's going to probably struggle with the $300,000 fiscal note. So it might be kind of hung up in the committee. And when I was talking to Seth Bergley this afternoon before the floor, I was kind of giving him a little brief summary about what I'm just now explaining to you. And he said that he will hang on to it and that until we come up with whatever amendments that is. And to get back to the question about the Department of Labor and Industry, this is a new program, so there's nothing within there. And I told the committee yesterday before you walked in that we can amend it to where we'll zero out the funding and add a Jimmy Keene suck it up amendment. And but anyways, you know, like I said, if you're interested in it, let's amend it to reflect that, because it would be a good fit and be a good win-win situation for both the OPI and the governor's office.
Thank you, Representative. This is Sarah. I'll reach out when we're done here to get the scheduling information for the superintendent to join you on Tuesday. Sounds very intriguing.
It does. Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it.
Yep. You bet. And then I'll shoot a message back to Opal to include you as well.
Sounds great.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any final closing questions for Michael Sweeney on the school photo repository? If not, I will send out the documents and the recording of this for everyone. You're welcome to use it with your staff or other legislators. They'll receive a copy too. And thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you back here next Thursday. The topic and the reminder will be sent out on Monday. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.